Thank you so much for staying with us on our continued coverage of the end protest, which has been an agitation of some Nigerians across the nation. Today, we saw how things went south in the northwestern region of the country, specifically in Kano State, where hoodlums looted the newly built Nigeria Communication Commission Industrial Park in the state. The vandals targeted the Kano Information and Communication Technology Center just days before its scheduled launch, setting it on fire and making off with valuable equipment. Photos that you can see on your screen are the remains of the vandalized facilities there on the ground. And the pictures are since been circulating. In fact, they were taking furniture, chairs, and all what have you out of that vicinity. And of course, a few days ago, you could see, interestingly, the state governor of Ogun, who was riding on a CNG-powered bike, is one of the initiatives the government says it will put in place to ameliorate the sufferings of Nigerians. He will be joining me at some point on the program. But let's speak with the Minister of Communication, Dr. Tijani. He joins us live here in our studio. Thanks so much, Honorable Minister, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Give us an understanding of how these meet. For example, you never thought that this facility was going to be hit by these attacks by these hoodlums who have made away with valuables, which you tweeted to say they're in millions of naira. What's your initial reaction to, apart from what you said in your tweet?
I think it's the sad reality of using protest as a means of engagement. It's a means of engagement, but it's the sad reality of it. I think if you look around the world, you'll find that in South Africa, looting was part of the experience when people protested. In Kenya, more recently, looting was part of it. Black Lives Matter, looting was part of it. And I think this is something I'm personally aware of, that the president was crystal clear about the fact that we should protect businesses, assets, lives. And that's the conundrum that you find government in. You know, a lot of people before this protest were talking about the fact that you have law enforcement officers out there in the street. But how do you protect lives and properties if you don't have these officers out there? And this is a clear example. This property is one of the properties that the last administration actually worked on. But there were a number of things that were incompleted. So when I came into office, the first thing I did was to map out all these assets. And I made a declaration, it's in the public. We published their locations. We said we have to put them to good use, right, for the benefit of our people. And as you know, we started the 3 Million Technical Talent, which is the largest technology talent accelerator program in the world. At the minute, there's a global shortage for technology talent. We have very large amounts of young people in this country. The responsibility of the government is to train them, empower them so that they can become useful for the world. And that's what our program is about. It was only just 2 months ago that the last set of equipments were put in there. And we just agreed 2 weeks ago to launch that facility next week. This facility is meant to be used for those who are learning technical skills. Bear in mind that the 3 Million Technical Talent program that we're running had the highest number of applications from Kano. And at the minute, we're training thousands of people. We needed more facilities to be able to cover these people. So the hope is that we were going to add more young people to the program. In fact, there's a program that we've also announced, which we call the Build-A-Thon, which is meant to be an all-day program for young secondary school kids, to start to get to expose them to technology. But unfortunately, all the computers in there, everything is now gone, which means we have to reassess. Of course,
this perhaps, can you estimate in naira value what this could amount to?
It will be millions, if not billions, because it's a lovely building. You saw the picture.
Apart from building, the structure,
the content. There are
computers there.
I think on top of my head, we will have anywhere between 150 or probably 120, 150 computers, both PCs and laptops in there. In fact, what was missing was that the generator needed a few more work, and also the power backup that needed to be in the space before we could start to use the computer. That was the last thing that the contractor supplied, and we were meant to go in and put it to good use. But this is part of what you get with protests. You know, I've been part of this government. Before joining this government, I ran CC Hub, which catered for a lot of young people, helped young people build businesses, created jobs for people. And one thing I've seen as a minister in this government is the intentionality behind every program that the president and the team is put out. When you study these programs carefully, you will see that this administration has clear programs for the unemployed, the underemployed, those who are employed but they are not earning well enough, those who are gainfully employed, businesses, even students. We have an array of programs for them. And these programs are meant to target age-long challenges in our nation. And these age-long challenges are not just linked to Nigeria. There's a global food crisis, which is not unique to us. There's energy cost, which is going up everywhere in the world. And you can see the intention to address a lot of these problems. And I feel if people are engaging on some of these issues, perhaps we need the elite, the intellectual class, to start to pay deeper attention to the programs and ask questions. You may not agree with the approach. Ask deep questions. We need intellectual conversation so that we can serve our people that truly needs us.
See, on that facility, give me the assessment report that you're getting from your staff on the ground. Did the looters or those who vandalized that property, did they leave anything? Did they save anything? Or they made out with everything?
In fact, initially we were getting reports from staff, but we had to ensure that all staff members were safe and they were not in the building. The last report I got was actually from an aide to the governor, who is the gentleman that we've been working with on the official launch next week. And he had to reach out and say they may need more security officers to help because they went in there and they were taking, in fact,
they broke the gate?
They broke the gate.
They brought down the gate, they broke the doors.
They were taking cables, electric cables, connectivity cables were being pulled. That was the last report he gave me. Of course, we've not been. Once everything is settled, we will go back there. We've already seen a few companies who are saying this is an important project for Kano, and they'll be more than happy to support to bring it back alive. But this is the cost.
It's a monumental.
It's a monumental cost.
It's a loss. It's a loss.
It
puts you backward.
It's a loss.
This for your ministry, this would have been a moment where you would say, this is what the Bola Tinubu government is doing, but unfortunately you will not be able to do that.
No, we've been doing it because we've been leveraging centers in Kano for this training. The goal was open this up so that we can increase the number of young people that are benefiting. And I've seen people made very ridiculous comments like, why would you put a center like that in Kano? As if the young people in Kano don't have the right to dream, as if they don't have the right to be part of the digital economy. Kano is one of the places where we've had the highest number of applications, and a lot of young people there who wants to be part of the digital. They want to acquire skills that will make them to be part of the global economy. And thousands of people are already learning. Our goal is hard more.
So what do you do now that this facility is down and out?
I think this is not going to take us out of. I have to be honest. There's already a company that reached out and said we must continue.
We must bring it back
because it's about the young. When you look at the faces, look at the picture. The pictures that you see the young people who looted this, extremely young people. These are not the people who started this protest. They're not. The people, you always have looters when we're anywhere in the world. The guys who went in there are not the ones who started the protest. They saw it as an opportunity.
When you and your colleagues with the president sat at the Federal Executive Council 3 days ago on Monday, well, was this one of the fears of the president had, or the federal government had?
The president has never been. He's always been clear about this protest.
What was his position?
So even when people say the president has always been clear. The president says protest is the right of the citizens. What we should not allow is for citizens to disrupt society, to destroy property, and to destroy businesses as well. It was actually quite particular about that. Because what you see is when they start to attack small businesses, these people will struggle to come back. And these are the people that are lifting our economy up. They're the ones who are creating the jobs that we want to see. The government is listening.
But Mr. Tijani, the question here is whether the government that you are serving in is conscious about the heat in the room.
Absolutely. I'll give
if you guys, just for a moment, Minister, if you guys are not aloof of the suffering and the hunger in the land, and these are some of the things that the protesters and those who took to the street are saying, that the people are hungry and they are screaming it as though those who are in government are deaf to what is going on in town, or they are aloof to what is going on. It does look like the government may be aloof of what is going on with the Nigerians.
Let's focus on the topic, hunger. Focus on hunger. and assess what the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is done with agriculture. Personally, I've invested in agriculture, so this is something I'm passionate about. In the first 1 year of this administration, there's been significant investment and support into agriculture with the sole purpose of ensuring that we can drop the cost of food in the country. Focus on it. Focus on the recent...
But the food prices are still up.
It's a global challenge. It's a global challenge. And if you pay attention to the way agriculture is done globally, there are a number of countries that can't even grow their food. You go to places like UK, they rely on imported food. The agricultural value chain is extremely complicated. You require technology to be able to produce a mass. You can't rely on the typical conversation around smallholder farmers feeding us. No, you have to invest in equipment. And that's what this administration is doing. I'm not the Minister of Agriculture. I'm not taking his job. The minister is doing fantastic work, moving from state to state, coming up with initiatives, supporting farmers with fertilizers, with herbicides, supporting farmers with all sort of equipment. Recently, FEC approved significant investment in agricultural equipment to encourage mechanization. These things don't happen in 2-3 months. And we are listening. The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is listening. If you pay attention to all the topical issues in this country, this president is quick to react with solutions.
All right.
We saw what happened last week with the Dangote group. We saw that. What did the president do and his team? That's unprecedented. We've not seen that kind of solution in the country. Yeah.
If you look into it, because you are one of the federal government officials that Nigerians will be seen speaking publicly after tonight's event. And let's assume you're speaking on behalf of FEC, on behalf of President Bola Tinubu. What, if you look into the camera, what would you be telling Nigerians? Because they believe that there is a disconnection between your government and the Nigerian people, the hunger in the land and the abundance that you people have available to you in government, and the kind of lifestyle that you and your colleagues are living, which makes a lot of people get angry that these guys are not just considering us. What, if you look at the camera, what would you tell Nigerians tonight?
Sharon, the reality about this government, and I'm going to split, when we talk Nigerians, I'm going to try to ask two different groups of people to step back and look at this administration. In my adult life, I've never seen a government, in my adult life. I've been active in development in Nigeria, not just protests, nor anything. In development, in my adult life, I've not seen a government with a set of programs that cut across every facet of our society, whether you talk about people who are unemployed, underemployed, gainfully employed, businesses. In my adult life, I've not seen a government that is extremely intentional. What this government requires is the collective effort of both the government, the public sector, the private sector, to come together to ensure that we can actually deliver on the promises and the interventions that this government is putting in place to ensure that we can serve the ordinary Nigerians. Those things won't be built. I've used the example of agriculture. The unemployed people in Nigeria, I ran CCO for years. It takes about 2-3 years for you to get a young person into a career in tech. And once you get them in, it's one of the highest paying jobs in the world. So
in about 50 years, this is perhaps the best government that you...
In my adult life, yes.
In about 50 years.
With the knowledge of what I've had. I'm not 50, I'm just a few years.
Yes, I say in about 50 years.
In about 50.
But I know you are
in my adult life. And I'm not saying this because I'm a minister. I'm saying this because I see the programs that this
Bola Tinubu government is
absolutely.
The best that
I challenge anyone to empirically look at those programs, map them on the country, map them on our age-long challenges, age-long issues that we've faced for years. Even though we want these issues addressed in 12 months, just map them on it and ask whether there's clarity and intention behind this president.
I would like you to close. And whether or not those who are asking that this government needs to be begging and pleading to the Nigerian people and their sensibilities also, because if they are not seeing some of the results of your action and activity, they deserve to be angry because they put this government into office. Close for us on your own beat and let Nigerians know the position of this government going forward.
No, I think for me, this is an inclusive government. People have different interpretations of different approaches. When you look at what this government has done in the last 2 weeks, you will see a government that is actually engaged extensively on this matter. To a point where even commentators say we're engaging too much. That's what people take it to. If you run a country, your goal as leaders is to engage different parts of the society, not just a group. The issues that are on the table are issues that concerns all of us. So this government is taking the intention to engage traditional rulers.
Will you be begging Nigerians to be patient with you?
It's not about begging. It's about truly explaining what we've been doing, which is what we've been doing.
Pinch. If you make promise to people and they are not feeling it, and they are quick to ask questions, in the over 60 years of the existence of this country, people have not really benefited from government. And so when they're asking tough questions from their government, and that's why I'm asking whether or not you look to them and beg them tonight to say, please give us some more time. Are you able to do that?
We will implore and we will give evidence to show people that this is an intentional government that is listening to them.
But you cannot beg them to be patient.
Begging you does not solve the problem. Even if we beg and apologize, it doesn't solve the problem. This government wants to solve problems. This is a problem-solving government. It's a problem-solving president that we have in place. That's why it's taking hard decisions. We want people to see it. Where those things are slow and people feel like they're not coming through, we would like to hear from people, and we'll act. That's what we're doing. That's the approach I've taken. As a minister, I document all my work. I report myself every week. In 10 months, no one engaged the strategic blueprint and said to us, these are the things you said. We put timelines there on when we're going to deliver things. We said we're going to lay 90,000 kilometers of cable to ensure that quality of internet is up. That's not something you do in 2 months. We put the timeline there. So we want people to...
How many have you laid now?
In the face of raising the money, 7 DFIs are now putting the capital together, 2 billion. That's not something you get in 10 months.
I mean, in the last few weeks, Minister, there has been a huge amount of drop calls. Network connectivity has been horrible. In fact, today, is it coincidence that network just went bizarre today?
There's no instruction to tamper with network. So if people ask, there's no instruction, absolutely no instruction.
Would there be some kind of sabotage?
From my office.
All of a sudden,
it's not sabotage. You also need to understand when you have a significant amount of people not at work, people are online. So you expect the traffic will be extremely high. And I'm not saying that's the cause. I've not done any technical assessment.
Should we be getting some updates from operators to say what you're experiencing today? Because now Nigerians will have to now be blaming government, that government is intentionally meddling with the network just to frustrate their ability to be able to follow what is going on. I mean, there is a very bad culture with our telecoms operators. When they're a bad service, it's not forgetting that Nigerians are paying their hard-earned money for this service. They never even tell you that they have a bad network, they have this, and I don't want to be mentioning some of these terrible networks who will never relate with Nigerians as though we are in one colonial era. I mean, it's unpardonable.
Our mandate and role as government is not just only to drive these people to be responsive, but also to ensure that there's the proper investment in the infrastructure that we require to produce and provide the quality of service that people require. I've said this on this channel before. There's still significant lag. For Nigeria to have good quality telecommunications and connectivity service, we need 125,000 kilometers. This is something from a proper study of 125,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable laid. We've only invested as a nation, the private sector, 35,000 kilometers. So what we're expecting, the quality we're expecting, and this is the project that this government is prioritized. FEC has already approved this. Unfortunately, it won't be done in 6 months or 12 months.
Dr. Bosun Tijani is Honorable Minister for Communications. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. And I do I commiserate with your ministry on that loss? Do let us know as soon as you get it up and running, because we at China Television, we are interested in some of the developmental projects and how it impacts to the average person in this country. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it.